Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Peyton. I am the well-seasoned traveler. Today is day 5 of my 30 in 30 YouTube posting challenge. And today I have 5 more countries that you should consider being a digital nomad in 2024. I posted previously 5 great countries. I didn't do all of my research on those 5 great countries. I completely forgot that Ecuador is having some crime issues. They're having a massive crime wave around the country. Now, I'm not a big fan of listening to the news and not traveling someplace because the news says so. Most of the time, any travel advisories are more often political than they are about safety. But in this case, maybe give Ecuador a little bit of space to calm down for maybe a couple of months before you decide to go over there. And same with Mauritius. Mauritius had a terrible cyclone and their downtown was flooded. So that being said, I have 5 more great countries, none of which has had a cyclone or is having any terrorism issues right this moment. Fingers crossed, I hope. But I have 5 more great countries that you should consider being a nomad, a digital nomad in 2024. So let's jump in. The first country is Malta. Malta is a small country in Europe. I have never been there. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about it. So Malta has the digital nomad visa or the digital nomad residence visa. Their visa is good for 1 year and is renewable for 1 year. You have to make the equivalent of 2,700 euros, which I did the calculations last night. So obviously currency changes, but that's about $2,942 US. Health insurance is required. I recommend health insurance at any time you go out of the country. But health insurance is required for Malta and for all of these countries. It is required when you become a digital nomad and use a digital nomad visa that you get health insurance. So keep that in mind in terms of your budget. And the great thing about Malta, you can stay in Malta. Like I said, the visa is renewable. The visa is good for a year, renewable for another year. And it does count towards your permanent residency. So you can continue to renew and it makes you eligible for a permanent resident in Malta after 5 years. It's not a bad deal. 2,700 euro a month. You need to prove an economic solvency, about 2,942 US dollars. Okay, so Malta is a great option if you are kind of mid-range in terms of your budget and looking for someplace outside, possibly in Europe. Europe's a great place to go once you're there. You have so many travel options and so much good food surrounding you everywhere. So country number 1 is Malta. Number 2, we're going to stay in Europe. The second country is Spain. Spain has their digital nomad visa, which is good for a year and renewable for up to 5 years, which is really incredible. Insurance is required, just like every other country, and you'll need an income between 2,000 and 3,000 euros, which is about $2,179 US to about $3,269 US. So somewhere between $2,100 and $3,300, you'll need to prove economic solvency to go to Spain. While Spain is great because it allows you to renew your digital nomad visa for up to 5 years, the time that you spend in Spain does not count towards residency, temporary or permanent residency, or citizenship. So you'll still have to go through all of the hoops that Spain requires if you decide that you want to stay there full time. But maybe after the 5 years you've been there, you've met somebody, you get married, like anything can happen, right? So Spain, again, their digital nomad visa, good for a year, renewable for up to 5 years. You need to have between $2,100 and $3,200, $3,300 US in economic solvency to get that visa. Next, a little further flung location is Thailand. So Thailand has the Smart Visa, and Thailand has 2 options. They're a little bit confusing, and I don't know why you would select one option over the other, but you'd have to go look at the rules, find out what falls under which option, and that will tell you what you can select. So their 2 options are the Talent Investor and an Executive Visa. Or, I'm sorry, the 2 categories, talent, investor, and executive category, or the startup category. For the talent, investor, and executive category, they offer a 4-year visa. So it's a great length of time. And you have to show proof of $2,800 US income in order to be eligible for that visa. If you decide to go under the startup visa, they only offer a 2-year visa for the startup, but the income requirement is only $1,405 US. It's incredibly low. And I would not mind spending 2 years in Thailand. I would not mind spending 2 years in Thailand, if I'm honest. This visa really piqued my interest. I've been so focused on Mexico, I haven't been looking around the world. And now that I see that Thailand has this great visa, I might have to do a little more traveling before I settle in Mexico City. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right, so again, Thailand has 2 visa categories: the talent, investor, and executive visa, which offers you a 4-year visa with proof of $2,800 US income, monthly income, and the startup visa, which offers you a 2-year visa with only $1,405 US in monthly income. Travel insurance is required, and Thailand requires that you have at least $100,000 US coverage in travel insurance. So they require you to have a fair amount of travel insurance. Get it. It's worth it. It's worth it every time. Next, Costa Rica, super popular destination. People love Costa Rica. I've never been. I've had family who's gone and absolutely loved it. So Costa Rica has the Rentista visa. It's valid for 2 years and it is renewable. I could not find out how long it's renewable for, but you've got your first 2 years and then you can renew, which is great. You have to show proof of $2,500 US per month in income. Insurance is required, and you can apply for permanent residency in Costa Rica after 3 years. You get your 2-year digital nomad visa, Rentista visa, you extend for another year, and then you can apply for permanent residency. That's a really great way to get into permanent residency in Costa Rica, if that's your location of choice. Last but not least, back in Europe, Croatia has a temporary stay for digital nomads visa. It is only up to 1 year. It is not renewable. This is kind of the most strict visa on the list. It's good for up to 1 year. It is not renewable. And you have to show proof of 2.5 times the Croatian salary, which basically from what I saw is you have to show proof of about $2,000 US a month, which means Croatia is really low cost, really inexpensive place to travel and stay for at least a year if you only have to show $2,000, proof of $2,000 US in income. And health insurance, of course, is required in Croatia. So these are 5 countries: Malta, Spain, Thailand, Costa Rica, and Croatia, that you can travel to now. They're not having, knock wood, they're not having any environmental issues or any crime issues, and you can go there and travel and stay for at minimum 1 year, maximum up to 5 years in Spain on a digital nomad visa. I highly recommend you take a look at some of these places. They are all beautiful countries, great food, great opportunities, great internet, which is very important for the digital nomad. So they all have co-working spaces, and they're all known as digital nomad spots. And the countries have been investing in the infrastructure for digital nomads. So they're all great locations to check out. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe the video. Please let me know your thoughts. If you've been to any of these countries, I'd love to hear some tips or some, any information that you have about them. And I will be back with more information tomorrow. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.